How we doing? Fox back again for sound design tutorials. I've been back off holiday now for a few days, a week and a half. I've just been letting everything sit. I haven't even carried on with my Serum sound bank. Wanted to do a bit of producing, so I've entered a remix competition that Cymatics have done. You could go over to their website and download the stems. There's only 2 days left now, but this is the Cymatics page where you post your tracks when it's all finished. As you can see, there's loads on here. This is mine. It's a liquid drum and bass track. Yeah, this is mainly going to be showcasing this track. I'm going to play it all the way through, and then I'm going to pick it to pieces in Ableton, show you all the different bits and bobs that I used and put together, all the stems that I used, and all the other sounds of mine that I mixed in with it. So yeah, there'll be a link in the description to this. If you are listening to this over the next couple of days, please head over there and listen to it and like it. Give me a shout with being in there for some of the prizes, if not just to get near the top. It'd be nice to have some good comments on it. I'm really pleased with it. It went really well. So without further ado, I'm going to do this playthrough. So as I said, there is a link in the description to this, so you can go to the Cymatics group and you'll be able to listen to my track. But yeah, I'm going to play it through now. I'm just going to nip downstairs, get something to eat, and then I'll come back up and I'll show you it, explain how I did it, what all the different parts are. So 3, 2, 1. Well, there you go. As I say, really pleased with this. It all flew together, if I'm honest. The way I make tracks is I got all the stems, obviously bounced them all down, time stretched and pitched them up to 178. It's quite fast for a drum and bass track, but there you go. Yeah, I stretched all the little glitchy bits out, some of the pianos I used, and I make a sort of an 8-bar loop, which I did, which was this. You get the gist with all the elements in, and then I sort of pick it apart, drag some for the intro. I never play all of that section together in one go. Just sort of pick it a bit by bit. So let's start at the start. Let's take the first 16 bars. Straight away you can hear that piano. This is the original piano. Time stretched it. I've applied this auto filter on it. I'll set this off. As you can hear, very loud, there was a lot of stuff in it that I didn't want, so simply apply that bandpass filter just to dull it right down. I've got a bit of compression just to bring it back up. Stereo imaging, which I do on pretty much every single channel just to position it where I want. This was middling-ish. Bit of modulation on the gain over time. Got rid of these two peaks. A real resonant spike there. Not so much there, but yeah, that was that piano. I'll double time it as it gets the intro progresses to give it a bit more pace. I then added another piano layer, which is frozen at the minute. If I unfreeze this, this was a layer I added with complete. When it loads. This is the grandeur. It's an octave down, if not an octave, 2 octaves down. Same thing again. Anytime you do a piano, you're going to have to do some serious EQing. Resonant speak. Some bits that were giving me some grief. I've got an RC48 reverb on this channel on its own, giving its own reverb compared to the other piano, which I've got going into my hardware reverb, which I'll go through later on. Again, some stereo signal. This one I pushed out really wide compared to the other piano. So the two together, I've got a bit of glue compression. Again, when the two mixed together, I had to do some serious notches. We've then got this. This is one of the Cymatics stems. Again, I've done something cool with this. Now this one I haven't touched. This is just how it came, sort of a pluck. Again, double time it as the intro goes further on, just sort of halved it inside Ableton. Everything's sidechained to the kick, which we'll go over in a bit. Again, some stereo placement, really wide on this. This is the one where I did something very interesting. Really wide on the stereo imaging. I thought I'd applied an LFO to this, but it must, no, it's this one on the group. So yeah, that one that I just showed you. That's just how it was. Basic EQ and just cut the lows out. This one again was one of the stems. I believe I time stretched it a little bit just to get it to fit properly. There's no reverb on that at all. That's all just coming straight out of the stem. So all of them together. The other thing that comes in right at the start is one of my pads. This is one that I did with Serum. Let me just freeze that contact piano again while I talk a bit about this pad. These contact instruments do take up a lot of your RAM. Even with a computer as powerful as mine, you're going to need to freeze them at some point. So yeah, this pad we got going at the bottom, this one is going to be available in my Serum Soundbank Aggression, which is due to be released soon. It's a real sort of fluttery pad. I've got some basic EQing on it again and some stereo placement just to put it where it wants to be when this finishes freezing. The intro sort of wrote itself. That piano, once I'd soloed it down, in regards to putting that bandpass on it, it didn't really need much else in the intro. I put the pads on after I'd made the whole track. That Cymatics sort of little drummy loop easily went in, and I felt that piano needed just a little bit more, just something to sort of thicken it out a bit, so I added that extra layer. It told me that it was in F sharp minor, I believe, so I knew what key we were in. I just messed around on my keyboard until I worked the notes out. So yeah, this pad, if I quickly, instead of unfreezing it, if I just drag it in so I can show you what it is. So it's pad 2 from my Serum Soundbank. If I just turn my keyboard on, you'll be able to see what's going on. That's P2. I need pad 2, PD2. So yeah. You get a general idea. It's that band reject being modulated very, very fast with this LFO, LFO 7. It's modulating the mix, so it's almost like blending the band reject in and out, which gives us that real shimmer. No processing on the channel, so just a bit of EQing just to place it where I wanted it. We'll talk about the hard effects reverb now. This is going into my Lexicon reverb, which is an MX2000. I've got it on an arena reverb, which is quite a dullish reverb, if you like. It's not very, very bright like a plate. It's not very, very bright like a plate. I've got a minimal amount of pre delay, quite a long decay. I'll solo it and I'll pull it in and out. So without. So yeah, what I've got on the channel again, anytime you're using a reverb you want to EQ before it. Personally, I'll cut everything generally anything below 200 Hz, so you're not muddying up any of your bass. And then I always do some stereo widening mid-side EQ going out, and I always sidechain the reverb. Very neat trick. So yeah, that's the first thing going into my hardware reverb. So that's virtually all the intro covered. We've got some basic drums which I added in myself. We've got this crash to bring us in, and as it comes in we've got these open hats. Quickly, these drums, everything inside this drum group that you can see, all these claps, all these different things run inside Falcon. I set up a massive sample template. I've done a video on how I did this earlier on in the year. So I've got all of the, this is all from the Leviathan pack that I bought. Every single kick, crash, all of the elements are inside this, so I can just play it on my keyboard. So if I go to the kicks, I've got all of the kicks from that whole pack, so it's easy for me to find a sound and just play it in on the go. So we've got a clap from that pack. These open hats I did myself. I drew the MIDI notes in. You can see there's slight modulation in the velocity, giving it staggered sort of effect. They are also running into the delay, which I've just got a bog standard ping pong delay, Ableton ping pong delay. Always use that again just to push it wide, give it a bit of stereo placement. These are open hats, and I've got two sort of more ridey hats toward the end of each 8th bar. Crash. As the intro builds to this point, we've got the main drums, which I've done in drum rack. It's just 2 kicks and one of these stems from Cymatics, which I bought in, which is another clap layer. If we go into that, you'll see the Cymatic one. I've just really low passed it. I've got a Leviathan kick and a Cymatics kick mixed together. So a kick that I took from the stems and a Leviathan kick inside the drum rack as well. These are obviously low passed with an auto filter as it builds. You can hear that knocking feel. I've got that mixed with a clap. I've got that, where is it? Here. This is the woody knocky effect. I've used a stereo imager again to give it a sort of pan feel to the right hand side. And then the clap I've got on its own up here, you can see it's centered. I thought I had panned that. Maybe I've done it with the S1 imager. Yeah, so I've used the imager again to just push it slightly to the left of center as well. So when it mixed with a clap, you can hear a bit of separation. I've got that going to an RC48 reverb. I'm using a bright plate for this one. That's on a send. It's a lot brighter than the effect that I chose on my Lexicon. So yeah, it wanted a bit more shimmer on a clap. I've then got this break that I use quite a lot. This is called a backbeat. I've used this in a few drum and bass tracks before. I really like it. I've low passed the kick virtually out of it. Kick's real duffy. I'm also modulating a low pass filter, you can see, to build it up. Everything builds up, everything's auto filtering up. We then go to this rough up. This is where the fun begins. I've used an auto filter to give us that sweepy feel. Look, this is with the auto filter off. When I time stretch this, use one of the warp modes. I couldn't get it sounding anything as clear as what the original with. When I sped it up, it was really grainy. So again, I've used an auto filter, but I'm utilising the LFO. I've got it on a triangle. I've set it to clock rate of quarter note, and I'm modulating it positive. So this is the bandpass filter is modulating on a quarter note, giving us that flutter. You can hear it modulating back and forth. Again, some mid-side EQing just to push it wide. Cut it out the way of something else it must have been interfering with there. 2 identical tracks. Both the sidechain is being done on the group, I believe. No. Oh, because they're only at the breaks. I didn't do it didn't feel like it needed any sidechain for that, chaining for that. So yeah, that's it. That's all on the group, that modulation. So the 2 itself are identical. I do this quite a lot just to make it fill out the spectrum. The 2 channels are identical. I've just got one pan 22 to the right, one pan 22 to the left. Simple as that. Mix them together. Taking up quite a lot of the spectrum. So yeah, as it all builds together, that's the main element leading us into the drop. Got this little riser. This is something that I took from the stems as well. Sent quite heavily, well, 25% to the Lexicon reverb again, which was the more duller one. Hat riser and a click. This other element is also one of the stems. I've chopped this around quite a bit. So, and a white noise sweep. So those 3 together make the the rise virtually on its own, along with the progression of how everything else goes. So this is the rise, if you like, those three elements, plus a little white noise sweep. At the same time as that, I've got the bass coming in. I've got two bass layers, both as Serum. One is from my first sound pack that I did with Serum. This is D and Reese. Just a real basic Reese, nothing to it. Nothing on the effects, just a bin EQ accentuating the next section and an extra low pass filter just cutting out anything that I didn't want. Then I have a separate sub layer, which I always do. So as you can see, the Serum one, the first Serum one, is quite heavily low cut to get rid of the bass at 150 Hz, but then accentuating about 200 Hz. These are all again auto filtering in. You can see high pass on this one, leading to the drop. So I'll play the last 16 bars up into the drop. This is the pièce de résistance. This I love little bits like this. This is a tiny little snippet out of one of the stems that I took out, and I've done some creative modulation. I've got it going to RC48 reverb and the external effect reverb and the ping pong delay. Actually, the modulation for the RC48 is gone, so I only wanted the reverb and the delay to come on the latter part, so I'll show you what that sounds like. If I push it to both of these, so the reverb and the delay comes in instantly, you can hear it takes up too much of the spectrum, gets too busy straight away. So you get the click clack, and then the last sort of clappy effect gets the full effect of the reverb. So yeah, that's a common theme most of the way through the track. That is from this point, that click clack I've called it. That little dubby drop before it comes in again. This is from my forthcoming Serum Soundbank Aggression. This is bass 73. Same thing, I've got it going through the delay and the RC48, the brighter of the two reverbs. If I turn both of those off, you can hear it without. It's just a growl. But when you apply those reverbs and the ping pong delay, helps it tail into the drop. Nice little effect to give you an impact for the drop. Helps everything continue into the main drop. We've then got another pad, which is this one. This is in my forthcoming Serum Soundbank as well. This is pad 5. If I unsolo that is. It's a massive, huge pad. As you can hear. So I've got that going massively to the hardware reverb again, the duller one with the low cut. Pad is sidechained real heavily in the group, and remember the reverb is being sidechained as well. It's a real neat trick. So you get the reverb, you get the pumped sound going into the reverb, and then the reverb gets pumped coming out. You can really hear that ducking. So that floating in with the full bass, that drum stem again, this pluck we haven't gone over yet. That's the piano. Now we've got these toms coming in as well. This sort of click clack. This was one of these stems as well. With the drum rack and the breakbeat and the other drums in the group. That is all the drums together. I've got the breakbeat and those other bits. Everything apart from the drum rack is all being compressed on the drum group with a basic glue compressor. Real basic drum settings. I never push it too hard. You can see 1, maybe 2 dBs of gain reduction. It's the pads that really made this section for me. As I say, I'd totally finished the track before I added the pads. I really felt it needed something else. So if I turn this pad off, play it without, it's going to sound a lot static. It has a lot less impact as the drop comes. More of an outro, and with it in, remember, listen for the pad. Got some closed hats going on with the main drum groove as well. Real basic 16th notes, a real big sweep up and down if we solo that. Helps going with a side chain and just keeps the whole track pumping. Got a load of extra things coming in here. These are all from the stems. Again, I chopped them up, messed around with them. This one is a pluck. Heavily low passed at the minute. You can see the frequency building up as it goes through. I've got its own reverb on the channel for this. It felt like it needed its own space. The RC48. It's a bright plate again. I generally always use a bright plate. So excellent reverb. Can't recommend this enough from Native Instruments. So yeah, that pluck filters in with another sort of plucky layer. Again, I haven't really done anything to that one. Just a bit of imaging. Some basic EQing, just pushing the lows out the way. And then this sort of vocally bit that goes with it. That's going heavy into the reverb and the delay, so without both. There was a bit on it anyway, but so I should have grouped those 3 elements together really, but all 3 of these are building, filtering. No filtering on that actually. Same with the vocal. The vocal gets filtered out as this pluck comes into fruition before the break, if you like. I've got another growly sort of sound again from my forthcoming Serum sound bank. This one is bass 64. It is this one. Again, going into that dark Lexicon reverb, my hardware reverb. Without the reverb, it sounds like this. Cool sound. 10 times better with that dark reverb. Gives it a real metallic edge, this Lexicon, especially that arena one. It's all about a real tiny amount of a pre-delay, just enough for it to offset it to sort of thicken the sound up. So yeah, we've got that comes in every other 16 bars, along with that other growl that I said. Everything filtering up and down respectively as we come to the drop, the break, sorry. That fluttery pad comes back in with the main pad to just wash everything out of the way with oodles of reverb. And then the only thing I've got going on really, I've got the pianos, that sort of, it's real quiet that is, that builds up, that sort of Rhodesy funky thing. Then just some drum build really to the main drop, well the second drop, which is like a drum step drop. So I'll play this whole breakthrough. It doesn't really need much explaining, that it's quite self-explanatory. The pads are in there, pianos. Yeah, and then the dubstep, drum step sort of drop, which is sort of half time, if you like. I've cut a lot of elements out here to give the drums more presence. The basses are both in full. That fluttery pad comes in again. It's all about giving it a little bit more space. I purposely didn't have a big riser into that. I wanted it to have more impact on the drop, so you can hear. The only thing that rises in is the basses are filtered, so they come in gradually, and the pianos and that are filtered out, plus a little tiny little drum roll. Gives it a lot more impact with less of a riser. Pluck wide open this time. The delay that you're hearing on that was in the stem. It was very hard for me to time stretch out and get that to sound good. Took me a long while, but I did it. There's a white noise sweep going the whole way through this to lead into the main drop where the drum and bass bit comes back. Again, real straightforward. Just some modulation on the filter, gradually bringing the white noise in. This little brassy pluck, which was another stem. That one I am sending to the ping pong delay, mixed with the other. Second main drop. No piano in this drop. Then took a tiny chop out of that brass plug, just that. Boo, boo. Just got it playing every other 8 bar, just running through. Basic rollout, cut everything down, bring the hats in, let it smooth its way out. I say that's real straightforward. The outro made itself in about 10 minutes. I'll just let the outro play on its own. I cut the bass down to just the sub for the last 16 bars. There you go, the power of the Lexicon reverb. Really did make the track, that did. I originally had everything going into that brighter RC48 reverb, which I've got on send A. But say it is really good, but the one that I was using was a bright plate. And I was reading through the Lexicon manual when it said that this Arena one was designed to be a lot duller, if that makes sense, if a reverb can be dull. But it did. I mean, look, I'll show you everything. The main break, what's going. I'll solo the Lexicon. This is everything that's going into the hardware. And the main drop. Really is beautiful. As for the brighter reverb, very useful tool that is, having 2 reverbs set up to take care of different parts of the different tracks that you want. I mean, it might sound stupid, but it's something as simple as that. Some more darker, more closed reverbs, you want to sound less hollow, set it up accordingly, whether you EQ it or pick a reverb specific for that job. Have them separate, and then when they get mixed together, if I do them both together, you can see the difference it makes. So what have I got on the master channel? The L2's doing nothing. All I ever do, if I'm honest, make sure your mixing's tight. You shouldn't be putting compression on every channel. I haven't put hardly any compression at all on any of that. I use the C6 from Waves is my main tool. It's a multi-band compressor. You can move the bands over, set different release times, different thresholds. turn the C6 off. Adds a lot of movement. I've bypassed these two sections. I only wanted the high and the lows to have that sort of real fluttery movement. The main reason for that is because I've used the Isotope Ozone 7. Where's it gone? I bought this. I bought the basic one. I will be upgrading to the main one, and I've used the dynamic EQ inside this. Again, even if I just turn the dynamic off, very subtle. The imager is doing quite a lot of work. That is a good signal. That's what you want to be seeing. A lot of action going on the outer side, but the main work's still in the middle. Basic EQing, standard drum and bass notch for me, that is. I generally clean up that sort of area between 300 and 400. I mean, if I push that out, you'll hear. If you can cut out a section like that and it's not making any perceivable difference to the track, then do it. I mean, it sounds stupid, but I struggle to hear that. That's something I learnt off somebody else, so you have to sort of fine tune it around 300 or 400 hertz. Only generally works with sort of liquid drum and bass. Then I've got the maximizer slamming it to make it all as loud as possible. About 5 dBs of gain reduction, probably a little bit too much, but that's my master channel, so it probably could have done with a little bit more stereo placement and some EQing on the main channel, but I was happy with it. I listened to it in my car yesterday and today and it sounded crisp, which is what you're aiming for. So yeah, I'm just going to play this through again all the way through so you can hear it out. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that, hope you learned something. I'm going to be focusing a lot more on some music production and some tips and tricks to help people along the way. I feel the channel's getting a bit static just with requests all the time. I know people like it, but I would imagine people, as well as making their own sounds, are going to want to learn a bit about how to lay tracks out and the ideas behind mainly reverbs and delays and things like that. I might do a section on Ableton effects, telling people how to use all the effects. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. As I said, if you're watching this in the first 2 days, please head over to the track on the Cymatics contest page thing and favourite it. It'll give me a chance, or get me in there at least. Get more people seeing my work. So yeah, I'm just going to play this through. Thanks all. Peace.